died. Chad Jenkins is a former FBI special agent, and he joins us tonight. Chad, how often have you seen something like this in the course of your career?
Well, Tucker, it's an anomaly. I mean, typically when you see especially a single active shooter, the overwhelming statistic is that it will be a male. So we did have this San Bernardino terrorist attack. However, that was husband-wife team. So typically you don't see a female in an active shooter role.
So the suggestion at this hour, and these things are dynamic, and we may know something very different soon, but that this was what police are describing as a domestic incident. What exactly does that mean?
Well, it means most likely workplace violence or some type of relationship gone awry in which she decided to attack at the workplace. But really, for the viewers at home, we need to really hone in that this can happen anywhere, and we as American citizens need to be prepared for this type of atrocious act to happen and have a mental plan set forth. That's the day in which we live. We cannot rely upon law enforcement or security personnel for our safety, unfortunately.
Well, that's certainly the lesson of recent shootings, for sure. This took place at YouTube, part of Google, one of the biggest companies in the world. How hard would it be to get a firearm into a building like that?
Well, if the individual knew the security protocols already in place, we've already heard that there was security at this facility. Right. But you can't predict the unpreventable or the unpredictable. You can only plan for it. So if a person has a will, they'll find a way to conduct this. That's why we need to really stress that individual citizens need to have a plan to go to in these horrific events.
So the initial accounts of what happened in the building suggested that there might have been an ideological or religious motivation. Obviously can't endorse that, don't know if that's true. Do we know any more about that?
At this time, I have not heard a motive being given by the local law enforcement. I'm sure FBI is helping in the investigation, witness interviews, things of that nature, but I have not heard what the motive was behind this perpetrated attack.
Yeah, well, there's a lot we don't know, but we'll continue to follow the story as it develops. Chad, thank you.
Thanks, Tucker.
Republicans in Congress refused to fund a wall, so the president announced today that he plans to send the military to guard America's border with Mexico. The announcement was sparked by a convoy of more than 1,000 Central Americans that has been making its way through Mexico toward this country. Mexico's government claimed on Monday to have broken up the convoy and deported 400 people in it. But the people who are actually running that convoy say otherwise. One of them told BuzzFeed, quote, "Don't be fooled, the government isn't disbanding it. It's conceding its participants' right to apply for asylum without traveling in the shadows." Either way, we have no reason to trust the good intentions of the Mexican government. In 2017, the Mexican Foreign Ministry published a video encouraging Mexican citizens to break American immigration law. It advised them not to open their doors to federal authority. It told them to hide the fact they're there illegally. And it was not the first time the Mexican government has done this. In 2004, the government printed and distributed more than 1.5 million pamphlets telling Mexicans how to enter this country illegally and live here without being detained. It even had tips on what clothes to wear while crossing a river, presumably the Rio Grande. Recently, Mexico filed an amicus brief protesting Texas's anti-sanctuary city bill. The Mexican foreign minister has called for illegal aliens in this country to receive legal status and has denounced the border wall as, quote, a hostile act. Hostile? Mexico is the hostile power here. Just today, former Mexican President Vicente Fox tweeted that Donald Trump is, quote, enemy number one of Mexico. He then retweeted someone else who suggested that if a dispute does happen, Trump will, quote, probably give back the state of California. The implication, of course, is that Mexico really owns California. In a 2017 poll, 65% of Mexicans said they viewed the United States unfavorably. 42% viewed America very unfavorably. None of this should be confusing or a surprise. Rather than fix its own problems, which are serious, the Mexican government instead imports them north to this country. It gets angry if we even hinder that process in any way. Mexico is, in fact, using the United States as an outlet for its poor. It's using our government as its welfare system. Democratic Senator Dianne Feinstein said that out loud back in 1993. She wouldn't say it today, but it's still true. Mexicans in this country sent home more than $26 billion in the first 11 months of 2017, the highest amount ever. Remittances are one of that country's biggest sources of foreign cash, bigger even than oil exports, and that's saying a lot.